Newsflash, you're not impacting others because your faith doesn't match with your actions. What you do and who you are represents you to other people. So how do you want to be perceived? Thank you for joining me for this lovely episode on Heal Sis Heal podcast. I'm Jocelyn Starr, your host, and this is a level up from the last episode that we had. We chatted together on episode 1 about discipline with God and discipline with you. But this episode is going to be chatting about how your discipline affects others and how it's perceived to other people. As I stated in the first question, I asked you, how do you want to be perceived? There's 2 points that I gave you: what you do and who you are, or who you claim to be. You know, Heal Sis Heal. We're going to get straight into the scripture before we dive into the nitty gritty, but keep those 2 points at the forefront of your forehead or your mind, okay? Guess what? We're back into the book of Deuteronomy, and specifically we're going over chapter 4 through 6. I had another topic that I was going to talk about. However, I felt really pressed to talk about this topic before we talk about anything else. So it's important to be disciplined with God, and it's also important to be disciplined with ourselves. But if we're not disciplined with God and we're not disciplined with ourselves, how can we be disciplined when other people see us? Because that will start to look different to the outside world. Now, I'm not saying that our mission is to be people pleasing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that your life is not just for you. Keep that at the forefront of your head too. Your life is not just for you. Your life is a reflection of your relationship with God and how you steward that and everything else, okay? So I'm going to give you a quick background on this chapter where it's a call to obedience for the Israelites, and I want to hone in on verses 4 through 8. I actually want to show you that it says a call to obedience. There it is. Read it and weep. Folks, don't weep. Please don't weep, because we're about to get some juicy things in here, okay? We're going to be focusing on verses 4 through 8. It says, "But you who have remained faithful to the Lord your God are all alive today. Look, I have taught you statutes and ordinances as the Lord my God has commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land you are entering to possess. Carefully follow them, for this shall show your wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the peoples. When they hear about all these statutes, they will say, 'This great nation is indeed a wise and understanding people.' For what great nation is there that has a God near to it, as the Lord our God is to us, whenever we call to him? And what great nation has righteous statutes and ordinances, like this entire law I have set before you today?" Okay, so I've got some notes on it. It talks about how they should be obeying the commands of God because other people are watching. Newsflash! Everybody's always watching you. You know how when you think about people saying like, oh my gosh, are they watching me? Are they watching me? Most likely they are, at least in my opinion. I suffered with anxiety for such a long time, and I will always think that people are watching me. It's actually true. People are watching you. Now, they may not be watching you in the way that you think they're watching you, but they're watching how you act, how you react. If you stand up for yourself, if you don't stand up for yourself, they start to see all those things, okay? It says, "For this will show your wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the peoples, and they will hear about it," all the statutes that they're going to say that this is a great nation indeed, and a wise and understanding people. And it shows that their Lord, their God, is with them whenever they call to him. That alone shows you that discipline isn't just for you, and it isn't just for God. It's for the people around you close by, and it's for the people that you need to reach who are far away. So whether that means that you are stewarding a group of people for your businesses, that means if you are a big influencer and all these people are looking to you because you do a certain thing, this discipline that you have ripples onto them because that is what they're looking to. So it matters what you do and who you are or who you claim to be, because if you're trying to reach a certain person or a certain people, how do you think you must come when you meet them? Now I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 5 verses 29. You're just reading one scripture in there, and it says, "If only they had such a heart to fear me, and keep all my command always, so that they and their children would prosper forever. In this scripture, we're discussing how obedience and discipline brings blessings to their children in life, for both for us and for those we influence, including our future children, our grandchildren, and more. You very well may be the praying grandmother in your bloodline. I know I am. I know I was called to be the repairer of the breach in my bloodline, and that is a big burden. But the thing is that God says that we can cast our anxieties, He can cast all these burdens, He can cast all these cares on Him, for He will make our burdens light. I want to say He makes our burdens light. He makes something. I think he says He makes our burden light. And I don't even have kids yet, but I know that you are called to be the repairer of the breach in your bloodline. There is no other way. Like, you are called to be the repairer of the breach. Why else do you think you're here listening to Heal Sis Heal? You have to heal while you repair the breach of your bloodline. Obviously with God, you're not doing this just by yourself. There's no way you have that much strength to be able to repair this whole bloodline by yourself. You have to do it with God. You have to heal in this process. And what does healing take? It takes discipline. Okay? I don't even have kids yet, but I want my children and my grandchildren and the generations after them to be blessed because of my obedience to the Lord, because I was disciplined in my walk. Like I said, your life is not just for you. You're a part of the ripple in your bloodline, and it's up to you to steer it in the direction of the Lord that He's calling you to do, and not darkness. I hope that pressed on your heart a lot, because I know it pressed on mine. The next chapter that we're talking about is chapter 6. Chapter 6, we're doing a couple scriptures. We're doing verse 12 through 15 and verses 18 through 20. Let's start with 12 through 15. This is Deuteronomy 6, 12 through 15. It says, "Be careful not to forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place of slavery. Fear the Lord your God, worship Him, and take your oaths in His name. Do not follow any other gods, the gods of the people around you. For the Lord your God, who is among you, is a jealous God. Otherwise, the Lord your God will become angry with you and obliterate you from the face of the earth." And now let's also read 18 through 20. And then we're just going to stop there because they get into the explaining on why. But this teaches us how we need to stay faithful to God and avoid the temptations of the world. And just avoid the temptations of wanting to return back to the old. God did not call us back to the old. He called us to where we are and to where we are going. He actually speaks into our future in our present, which makes us want to continue to move forward with Him. And when people start to ask you, "What's so different about you? Why do you act like this now? You have such a personality of a queen now. Why do you walk like that? Why do you talk like that? How did you get your relationship with God so intimate? And why do you stick up for what you believe in?" All these people are literally going to start asking you these questions when your discipline gets stronger in God. And when you start to say no to things that you used to say yes to. Why don't you want to come to the club anymore? Why don't you want to smoke anymore? Why don't you want to drink anymore? You don't want to gossip with me anymore? No, because I have discipline. I have discipline with the Lord. And it's important that you don't forget the Lord your God when you answer these questions, because the Lord was the one who brought you out of Egypt and the past that kept trying to pull you back in. You are now a new creature in God, and He's the only one that gets the glory for it. Look, the only one that gets the glory for it. He says He is a jealous God, for His name is jealous. That's what it says in Exodus. So as you fear the Lord and as you worship Him, please don't fall into the trap of idolatry. I just wanted to tell you that that is going to be our topic next week. Other people will start to see that and become curious, and they'll want to start doing the same things that you're doing in your life, because they realize that their life is not as satisfactory. Did I say that right? Their life is not as satisfying as yours because they weren't disciplined to God, but you were. And because you're disciplined to God and they see that, they want to start to interact with that and be like that more, because they're attracted to the light in you. They don't want to do it because it's you. Subconsciously, they want to do it because they see the Lord in you. That is a good influence to have. I'm just saying. In verse 18, it says, "Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so that you may prosper." That includes discipline. And even in verse 20, it says, when your son asks you in the future, remember that your life isn't just for you. It's for your children, your children's children, your children's children's children, your children's 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 children, and all the people around you that you want to reach in your lifetime. So now, remember those two topics that I told you to keep at the front of your forehead? Let's get into it. The first one, what you do. Let me know if any of these words relate to you after I say, do you. Do you gossip about others instead of praying for them? Do you envy someone else's life, relationships, or success? Do you get jealous when others are blessed instead of celebrating them? Do you judge others unfairly while ignoring your own flaws? Do you procrastinate until the last minute and blame others for your stress? Do you avoid giving your best effort at work or in your personal goals? Do you rely on others to fix your problems instead of taking responsibility? And do you act like nothing is wrong when your heart is burdened with sin or bitterness? Or do you speak life and encourage others? Do you celebrate others' blessings? Do you show compassion and grace? Do you work with excellence and diligence? Do you take responsibilities for your actions? Are you honest and vulnerable about your struggles? Do you forgive freely to let go of bitterness? Do you serve others with humility? Do you seek peace and reconciliation? Or do you live boldly with your obedience? And who you are or who you claim to be. Remember I asked, what you do and who you are represents you to other people. Are you bitter? Are you unholy? Are you unfaithful? Are you prideful, hypocritical, rebellious, lukewarm, deceptive, unforgiving, impatient, selfish? Like, I could go on and on. Or are you humble, holy, selfless, righteous, faithful, loving, forgiving, peaceful, and compassionate? What do you need discipline for as a woman? I'll give you 4 examples. You need discipline in your workplace. Your lack of discipline, like procrastinating, cutting corners, or not giving your best effort, can affect your credibility. Let your work ethic glorify God. Even in our relationships, whether family, friends, or significant others, maybe a lack of discipline in communication boundaries or showing love can hurt your relationships. You need discipline. Maybe in the goals that we set for ourselves every year, God gives us these dreams, and without disciplined action, they remain unfulfilled. So are you truly stewarding the talents and opportunities He's giving you? You need discipline. And with others, we are a living testimony of God's work. Your actions influence how others perceive Christianity. Okay? Are you modeling Christ-like behavior, or are you inadvertently leading others away? I know I have, when I especially was in university. I know I led other people away because I was not acting like a Christian. We can get into that another time. But think about what you do and who you claim to be. Are your actions and your faith really aligned? Think about that. So this week, pick one area, your words, your work, your relationships, anything, and commit to showing discipline. Pray about it. Ask for strength. Ask God for strength and take action. And I want you to comment down what area you are actually going to work in this week. For me, I want to work in my relationships. I want to be more disciplined in my relationships. We're going to end with 2 scriptures, Deuteronomy 5:33 and Deuteronomy 6:25. Walk in obedience to all that the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you will possess. And righteousness will be ours if we are careful to follow every one of these commands before the Lord our God as He commanded us. God has already equipped you for discipline. Now it's time for you to take action. That's all for now. Bye!